Okay, today in geometry, like I said last week, we are continuing on with lesson 1. So you can assume that you're going to have the evens as your assignments. Now, when I type them up, I may choose to skip some of them. If I do, that's okay. Just go with it. I've also skipped some in my review lessons. So I'm going to jump right into it because this is going to take a little while to get through all of these because I have a couple on the back of this piece of paper as well. So in a circle whose radius is 10 inches, the area of a sector... find the area, oh wait, never mind. The area of a sector whose arc is 18 inches long is blank square inches. So I have the radius and I have the arc length. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to set this up where I'm going to use last week how I told you that there was that little where we could combine some of the formulas. So I'm going to use it's arc length over circumference equals sector area over total area, because I have enough information to solve both of these. So I've got my arc length is 18 inches. I don't need to put the inches, I just need to save that for later, so don't worry about that. And then I have my circumference, which is 2 times pi times r, which is 10. Okay, and then I don't know my sector area, so I'm going to put that as S, but I know that my area overall is pi r squared, so pi times 10 squared. Actually, I'm just going to put a line right there. So I've got 18 over 20 pi equals S over 100 pi. I'm leaving the pi there for a reason because that's a lot of calculating and I can actually leave it and end up taking it out in a second here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 100. So I'm going to end up with 100 pi times 18 over 20 pi equals my sector. So if we look here, what I can actually do is I can cancel out my pi, I can cancel out my pi, and I can go ahead and say that's divisible by 20, so that's going to give me a 1, and this is also divisible by 20, that is going to give me a 5, which leaves it to where I do 18 times 5, and that is actually 90. So S is going to equal 90 inches, okay? And if you'll look, there's a space there for me to just put the 90 in. Doop, 90 square inches. Okay, because it has to be squared because it is an area of the sector. Okay, moving on to number 17. A circle rolls along a straight line. The locus traced by the center of the circle is a blank. So I'm going to draw my straight line. And then I've got my wheel, or my circle. So I've got my center of the circle. So I'm going to roll my circle. Obviously, it's not a perfect circle, but do you notice approximately where the center of my circle is? What am I drawing here? It is a line. So the locus of points is a line because my center, the circle is rolling. So if I were to take this and I were to roll it, if I were to roll it perfectly, you would notice the center is not going to move. So if it's going forward being rolled, it's going to form a line. Okay. So moving forward to number 21, yes, I did skip number 19. No, you don't have to tell me. I already know. The mean proportional to 2 and 18 is blank. If you don't remember how to set up mean proportionals, they're set up like this. So 2 over x equals x over 18. So I can do a little hint here is my mean proportional is going to equal the square root of 2 times 18. If you remember doing that. If you don't, that's okay. You can cross multiply and you would end up with x squared equals 36 because 2 times 18 is 36, which means x equals 6 because that's the square root of that. So we could have done that by here by saying x equals square root 36, x equals 6. So our mean proportional is 6. And if we were to look over this, 2 over 6 would actually equal 6 over 18 because they would simplify down into a equivalent fraction. That's the word. Okay. If the perimeters of two similar polygons are 8 and 12, and a side of the first is 2, the corresponding side of the other is blank. So we're dealing with a ratio here because they're similar polygons. That's your key word. So I'm actually going to set up a ratio of 8 over 12 for their perimeters, and then I know that a side of my first is going to be 2, and I need to find the side of my second. So what I can do here is I can cross multiply, and I have 8x equals 24, because I cross multiplied, which means that x equals 3. So another way I could have done this is by simplifying that down, but that's okay. So my other side is 3. See, when you guys have reviewed with me and you've seen me go over all this stuff previously, it makes it a lot easier to jump into these problems because we can say, oh yeah, it's 3 because it's, you know, their proportions, and the ratio of their perimeters is equal to the ratio of their sides because similar polygons. Yay! I love this stuff. Okay, a triangle whose sides are 8 inches, 15 inches, and 17 inches has an area of blank square inches. One of the quickest way to do this is just kind of, I'm going to put a little hint over here. Is it a right triangle? So 8 squared plus 15 squared, I need to see if it is equal to 17 squared, which it is. So 8 squared plus 15 squared is 289, which is what 17 squared equals. So because of that, I know that this is my legs. These are my legs. So I've got 8, 15, 17. So I can do 1/2 base times height. So I've got 1/2, 8, 15, which is 4 times 15, which is 60 as my final answer here. So the best thing I can tell you is to double check if it is a right triangle by seeing if a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and put your little question mark after that and check it. If that is true, your 2 shorter sides are going to be the legs of your right triangle. 2 more questions on the back. If 2 tangents to a circle intercept an arc of 110 degrees, they form with each other an angle of blank. So I've got a circle and I've got 2 tangents of a circle. They intercept an arc of 110 degrees. So I know that tangents go here. Okay, they intercept an arc. Oh, but it forms with each other, so I know they have to also meet with each other. So if this arc is 110 degrees, because that's what they're cutting off, I need to find this angle. We do that by doing the larger minus the smaller divided by 2. So I have to do 360 minus 110. So that's going to be 250. So I've got, this is 250 out here. So now I have to do 250 minus 110 divided by 2. So 250 minus 110 is 140 divided by 2, which means they form an angle of 70 degrees with each other. So that's a little formula back from the beginning of the school year. So it's actually larger arc minus smaller divided by 2, and that's the angle between 2 tangents that share a common point. So that was from earlier this year. Don't forget those formulas. I would take this chance to go back over all your notes and study all of them. You have time to do it, so do it. Okay, the areas of 2 similar triangles are 16 and 36. If a side of the first triangle is 1 1/3, the corresponding side of the second triangle is blank. I'm going to underline sides and areas. So I know that side squared over side squared is going to give me my areas, which are 16 over 36. I'm going to show you the easiest way to go backwards from this. I'm actually going to find the ratio for the sides by taking the square roots of these. So I'm going to have side of 1 over side of 2 is equal to square root of 16. Because if I square root everything, it keeps it even. So square root of 16 is 4, and square root of 36 is 6. So this makes it a lot easier for me to do this. So I'm going to set this up. I've got 1 1/3 over x equals 4 over 6. So I'm going to cross multiply. I've got space here because this is the last question. I'm going to have 4x, so cross multiply, bring it over here. 4x is going to equal 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4 over 3 times 6, 24 over 3. So 24 over 3. 4x is actually going to equal 8, which means x equals 2. So the other side is actually going to be 2. That worked out great. Now, if you didn't catch what I did here, how did I get that? I got that because I did 1 1/3 times 6. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4/3 times 6/1, which gave me the 24/3. That's just multiplying a whole number, well, fractions, so mixed number with a whole number, if you forgot how to do that. So tomorrow we are going to be continuing on with lesson 2. So today we were finishing lesson 1. We're going to take 2 days over lesson 2. Some of these are going to be true-false questions coming up here, and some of them are going to be like pick which one fits better. It's good because I can help teach you guys some problem solving skills through this. So stay tuned and keep watching these videos. Go back and rewatch my other videos. I have not removed them, so watch them if you need to. And I will see you through these review lessons by the end of the week.